Okay, so what we now have found out is that Fika is a lot about passion for people and passion for pastries. And without pastries, I know that you've written a lot about that, Stina. Without pastries, no Fika. And I was actually so impressed when I read the second foreword, because you have two forewords in this book. And the second foreword was written by the famous and renowned baker Jan Hedh, who actually has written and published more than 20 books himself on this subject. So I would like to go over to you again, Stina. What role has actually Jan Hedh played in your Fika journey? And for more worth, could you please share with all of us the exciting story of how you ended up as an apprentice of one of Sweden's most famous and exclusive bakeries, the NK Bakery?
Well, Jan Hedh came into my life when I had just started sort of really thinking about Fika and wanting to do something with it. And I had talked with somebody who didn't understand at all what I was talking about. And I thought, no, I need to talk with somebody who has some vision. And I didn't know Jan, but somebody at the Swedish embassy in Delhi had told me that if it's about bread, then the name is Jan Hedh. So I thought, oh, maybe that's something. And so I called him and he immediately said, oh, you can come and visit my bakery. And from that point, this was many, many years ago, 10 actually, he's been my Fika turn to person. And so he seemed like an obvious person to write this foreword or perspective, as we call it. And yes, he was the one who suggested that I could, call the NK Bakery. And the reason I wanted to be an apprentice at a bakery was that when I was going to tell the world about Fika through a bakery, I had become clear that I didn't want to bake in that bakery myself. I like baking just the way I do it at home for my friends. But I thought, well, it's a little arrogant to just say that. I ought to at least understand it. And so then I was on the lookout. And Jan Hedh gave me a few suggestions. And I called and I called and I called. Nobody wanted an apprentice. People basically don't want an apprentice, full stop. And then here was I had no background. And then I called the NK Bakery, and Stefan Jonsson Petersen, the head pastry chef, answers. Basically, he just says yes. And he says, oh, but wait a second, I need to just check with somebody. And he says, oh, the answer is yes. So when can you start? And then but aren't you coming soon then? Well, I just want to say one more thing about that experience. It was one of the most fun ones and at the same time most difficult. And there were two people who helped me survive that experience, and that's Oscar and Linus. I had to have two teachers, you understand. It was not very easy to take care of somebody who knew nothing when she started. But I want to comment on the Jan Hedh's foreword, because there is one thing that I think is so amazing. You said he's written like more than 20 books, 25 at least. I think 10 are out there in English. They've sold in like thousands and thousands of copies. And so he writes that I've been in this profession for 55 years. And not for a minute have I regretted my choice of a profession. To be able to bake and then see somebody get happy. And so somebody of his caliber, that's still why he bakes, because he loves to make somebody happy. I think it's extraordinary. And I can relate to that also. It is part of it. Is you want to, I remember my birthdays in Delhi. I remember saying, I want to bake for people. And of course, I didn't understand why I was saying that, but that is part of it.
That's amazing, Stina. And I think that I also love Jan's foreword. And as he writes in it is, when he actually sold out, when people came by to his pastry shop and he sold out, and they were so disappointed, and he just, hang on just a minute, I will rush off in the back and bake some more for you. So it is actually about passion.